You guys have a lot of questions, and I like to think that I have a lot of answers. I've been playing this game for ages. I've been using Redstone for donkey's years, so hopefully I can answer your questions about Redstone. Oh dear, I've just revealed the fact that I only half built this classroom. Question 1 comes from Mustache Man. He has asked, if I flick a lever, I want it to do this, but if I flick it back, I want it to do something else. How? Okay, I think what you're looking for, Mr. Mustache Man, is known as a rising edge and a falling edge monostable circuit. The rising edge monostable circuit will activate when you power it. So when you flick the lever, it will activate this. And then the falling edge monostable circuit will activate when you depower the input or turn off the lever. So that has just fired and activated something else. Activating this. Activating something else. Luke has asked, how do you come up with such unique redstone ideas? I can't seem to think of anything. The answer to this one is quite simple, is to be a massive nerd and think of redstone ideas all the time. When you're going through daily life, you should just be thinking of redstone contraption possibilities. So that's part 1, and part number 2 is to get a book. I have a little book on my desk where I keep note of them, and I have had multiple YouTube books throughout the years. Sir Chatton has asked, what kind of features do you want that don't add redstone blocks but modify current blocks to be simpler, like not having honey and slime blocks stick to each other? Seeing as you totally said the one that I was definitely thinking of, I personally would then opt for movable chests, movable furnaces, movable dispensers and all that sort of thing. I know you guys in Bedrock have this, and I'm very, very, very jealous, but it would be amazing to have in the Java version of Minecraft, just for moving storage systems, furnace arrays, all that stuff would be nuts. Luke has asked, did you study anything in college to allow you to understand redstone in the way that you do? In a word, no, to be honest with you. I mean, I've always been good at maths and physics and things like that, but none of that really helped me with redstone. But actually doing redstone then made me think that I wanted to go into computer science. I never ended up doing that, but it definitely plugged my brain more into the programming side of things. Cyclone has asked, how can you defeat the Ender Dragon with a redstone creation? Automatic Ender Dragon killer? Well, the good thing about making so many YouTube videos is that I've done this. I've done it twice, although the first time I didn't end up actually killing the Ender Dragons. That was a little bit disappointing, but the second time around, I made use of, I believe, TNT duplicators and just bombed it just constantly, and it did a pretty good job. In fact, I was incredibly impressed. It's a really easy way to kill the Ender Dragon repeatedly. RGA Gaming has asked, why does a redstone block provide endless power, but somehow the dust does not? You know, that's actually quite a good question. It's something that I've never really thought of before. One thing that I've also never questioned is the fact that placing redstone dust on top of a stick apparently creates a power source. I mean, you know, Minecraft is one of those things, you know, if you chop out that middle block there, nothing's going to happen. That tree's going to stay floating. I don't know if we can argue realism here. Mac Chats has asked, how do you make a super long clock using other than loads of repeaters set to 4 ticks? That's a very good question, Mac, and by far the best way I know so far is to create what's known as an etho hopper clock. These have been around since Minecraft 1.5, which is when hoppers and redstone blocks were introduced, and all you have to do is place a bunch of items on the inside of these hoppers, and this redstone block will go back and forth. Now, I've only placed 16 items in here, so the delay won't be that long, but if you fill up this hopper, you're going to get massive delays between redstone pulses. Zed Colton has asked, favourite redstone contraption you've ever built? I would say picking a favourite from all time is going to be way too difficult, but favourite this year, it's got to be the walking house, doesn't it? That was one of those redstone ideas that just came to me on the day and I was like, I need to do this. It took me hours, but the end result was way cooler than I expected and the community response was fantastic. It's AK Smith has asked, how do you get better at redstone? I would say number 1 is practice, to be honest with you. If you build enough redstone contraptions, you are eventually going to get good at building redstone contraptions. This is my redstone testing world, and as you can see, I have built a lot of redstone contraptions in my time. Hundreds, possibly thousands, to be honest with you. And yeah, I've done it enough now that I kind of know how everything's going to work before I even start constructing it. Can you give an in-depth explanation of either the comparator or the repeater? The repeater is a fairly simple one. It outputs a signal strength of 15. It has a redstone tick delay of 1 through to 4 ticks, depending on the setting. That is 2 game ticks, through to 8 game ticks, and it can also be locked from the side. Comparators, on the other hand, are a tiny bit more complicated, and I'll put a link down in the description to my video explaining comparators because a lot of the questions were asking about how they actually function. It's Perry Spoopy has asked, if Java and Bedrock were to have the same Redstone systems and applications, what Java-specific and especially Bedrock-specific Redstone systems and applications would you love for both versions to retain/have? As mentioned earlier, the one thing that I would really love from the Bedrock version of Minecraft is movable tile entities, things like chests, furnaces, and dispensers, but there's so much stuff from the Java version of Minecraft that would have to stay. Things like one-tick pulses, causing sticky pistons to spit out their blocks, quasi-connectivity, and also the general consistency of Java Edition Redstone just makes it so much more playable. You know that every single time you flick the lever, you're going to get the same result, and that isn't the case in Bedrock. Roland Holkser has asked, what if they really made bluestone or some other kind of redstone type thing, kind of how we have different wires in real life? I would be really happy. I'd be chuffed to bits, but I don't think that's something they'll ever do, to be frankly honest with you, so I'm not going to get my hopes up. Spooky Fish has asked me to give me the knowledge of flying machines. What really helped me when I first started working with flying machines was to think of them as a loop, because that is essentially all they are. So here we have a 3-piston flying machine, and when we activate it, which we activate it using this piston, this first segment will be pushed forward. So this area will be pushed, this sticky piston will be 1 block further ahead, but then this observer will power, causing this sticky piston to extend and then retract, pulling this part of the circuit further across, but then of course this observer will then power this sticky piston, causing it to pull this part of the circuit 1 block further across, and then we'll be back into this situation. So the loop will have finished, but then it will all start again because this piston will power, pushing it, and so on and so forth. So if we just give this a watch, you can see that all happening. Once you just see it as a loop, it begins to become a lot more simple. And don't worry, I can already hear all of the comments flying in saying that this is not simple. Trust me, if you give it some time, they really start to make sense. Akihort has asked me, what does the subtract feature do on a comparator? This is one part of the comparator that I actually think I can explain relatively quickly. It simply subtracts the signal strength that is coming into the side from the signal strength that is coming into the back. So for example here, we've got a signal strength of 15 going into the back of the comparator, and running into the side of it, we've got a signal strength of 14, which means that we get a signal strength of 1 coming out. Whereas over here, we've got a signal strength of 15 running into the back, we've got a signal strength of 13 running into the side, which means that we get a signal strength of 2 coming out the front. It's really useful. Spoopy Taste has asked, how do you plan a redstone contraption? As mentioned earlier on, it's gotten to the point now where I've built so many redstone contraptions that I kind of have a rough idea how I'm going to build them before I start building them. So if I think of a redstone idea, the layout will kind of appear into my head, and then I'll just start constructing it. If I run into any issues, then I just have to work them out and try my best to solve them. A Regulator has asked, what's the fastest way of killing someone with a redstone trap? I mean, I'm not 100% certain, but I would always say the 3 TNT minecarts is... That's a pretty fast death. Like, if you were to accidentally activate that using a trap, you're gonna die quick. I mean, you saw how fast things exploded there. That is nuts. I'd actually forgotten how fast it was. JL Funk has asked, how do you compact redstone circuits? Now, this is a question that I see popping up all the time in my comment section, in my emails, on Twitter, and the answer is really annoying, which is just get practice. Once again, if you have a lot of practice in making compact redstone circuits, you're going to get better at making compact redstone circuits. The only advice that I can give is learn a variety of different ways to perform the same operation. So, for example, if you know 10 ways to make a T flip-flop, then you're in a redstone circuit and there's just a certain space that you need to fit this T flip-flop in. You might have one in your head that weirdly fits where other ones, more conventional ones, don't. So that's where it's handy. Nathaniel Vedders has asked, is there any way that you can make a timer that counts in seconds rather than game ticks? Yes, absolutely. There's plenty of ways in which you can do it. All you need to know is that there are 10 redstone ticks for every real-life second. So if you make a timer that counts up every single 10 redstone ticks, then that's going to do the trick. Lone Sniper has asked, is there any form of wireless redstone except the daylight sensor thingy? Yes, there is. Amazingly, still in 2019, there are strange glitches that cause wireless redstone. It's been in the game for years. In fact, some of my earliest redstone videos were on wireless redstone, but DocM recently released a video showcasing a new way to do it, making use of boats and tripwire hooks and things. It's pretty interesting. Hose Pillars Cats has asked, do observers work with quasi-connectivity connectivity. No, the only blocks in Minecraft that are affected by quasi-connectivity are sticky pistons, regular pistons, droppers, and dispensers. I really hope I haven't forgotten anything, because then, you know, the technical Minecraft community is just going to collectively punch me in the face. But these are the only things that are affected by quasi-connectivity. As you can see, this dropper right here, it's being powered, but it's not reacting to it, because this redstone block is still powering it. So obviously it's not going to power doubly, whereas if we remove this redstone block, now it is actually functioning. So there we go. I have answered a bunch of your questions about redstone, and this was actually a lot of fun. I've never thought to ask you guys the sorts of things that you want to know about redstone before. I know that sounds silly, it's such a simple concept, but I'm sure there's so many questions that you have about redstone that you've always wanted answered, and who knows, maybe I'll end up doing another episode, because this was a lot of fun. I really do hope that you enjoyed, and I'll catch you in the next one. See ya. I am currently in the Philippines. Yeah, that's right. I've left. I'm out of here. There could be crazy things happening to Minecraft right now, and I would have no idea, because I've recorded this video on Sunday, which is like 4 or 5 days before it's actually releasing. So hopefully the game still exists. Hopefully you're all still here. Maybe everyone unsubscribed. Maybe I'm making this for no one.